Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's me again, Mark, and I know it's been a while since I last posted my video of my art here, but yeah, I wanted to post again just to update you guys and teach you a little bit of something that I've learned in the past few days. And recently I've been studying a lot of clothing, how to paint clothes. So you can see me here. This is my scratch pieces of paper where I study colors, and then I managed to practice a little bit with clothing in here. I also have another practice right here. Okay, so you can see that there's some drops of water there. I didn't know where that come from. Okay, and also I have some other recent posts on my social media. Okay, if you've been following my Instagram, I posted this art piece recently. Okay, and I really liked how it turned out. It's not as realistic as you might expect or as you might want, but I'm actually happy with how this one turned out. I also made another one here. I actually wanted to use this on my other tutorial, on my clothing tutorial, but yeah, I figured that I didn't like the end result here, so I'm gonna make another one. And I also made another one. This is the older one that I did, okay, of a girl in a pink dress, and I really liked how it turned out. And I'm gonna show you the things that worked with me so that you can have an idea on how to paint clothes if you want to do something like this in the future or in your art pieces. Okay, I also made a character here, but yeah, it doesn't have that much detail on the clothing. So yeah, we're gonna make a different art piece for today's video. Yeah, and I'm just gonna sketch out my reference here, which you might have seen me pick. Okay, and I will show you how we will color it. Okay, so you can see here that I've just finished the sketch, and I just wanted to finalize the face because I wanted to get it correct and I wanted to make it look good before I go on with the clothes. So now I'm just gonna use a black pigment liner. This is a water-based, water-resistant ink. You can also use a pen for this, but if you're gonna be painting over it, you can um, use a waterproof pen so that it will not be smudged by water. I've tested a lot of pens recently, and I find some pens that are for sale on Shopee which claim to be artist pens, and they probably are artist pens, and they probably have some uses, but some of these pens are not waterproof at all. And yeah, I will be wary about buying pens, and I will just uh, tell you that go with a brand that you trust and read the reviews before buying, especially if you're looking for something that is waterproof. Okay, so yeah, I think that's about it for the face there, and we can add a hair later. And yeah, now we're just gonna go with the clothes, and because we already have the face, the clothes will look good, okay, as we go along. So yeah, how do we paint the clothes? So if you're gonna look at our reference here, you can divide the colors of a cloth, or a shirt or any type of clothing that you want. You can divide it into different sections. Okay, so we have our highlighted area here because that is where the light is strongest, and then we have our mid-tone or base color here, and you can see here on the folds of the clothes we have our shadows. Okay, so we have a mid-tone or a shadow that is kind of a half tone, not a fully dark shadow, but we also have some darker shadows here. Okay, so that's what I did here. If you can see the separation that I did, okay, we have our base color, we have our halftone shadows here, and then we have our darkest shadows here. So that's how you would like to organize your coloring so that your art piece will look realistic very easily. You have to carefully divide those tones, and you don't want to mix them. Okay, if you're gonna be painting the halftone here of the base tone, you don't want to mix it or confuse it with the halftone of the shadow. Okay, so usually our eyes will only be able to like see, or it will only be readable to us if we divide it into four halftones. Okay, if you remembered my tutorial on making our values, okay, I have it in this other sketchbook. Okay, so here we have our 10-step value scale, and that is what I showed you previously in my art videos. But usually, if we are gonna be painting like clothes, and if you want to simplify everything out of here, okay, we will usually only go with the highlight, and then with a base tone, okay, probably a value of 3, and then a half tone for a shadow, okay, which is probably like um uh, probably like a 5, okay, and then the darkest shadow, which is, I think, is a 9. Okay, so those 4 tones, okay, is what we need to make like a really very realistic image. Okay, we don't want to use all of the tones here on our painting because that will be very laborious, it will be very difficult to do. So we're only gonna be dividing it into 4 major shadow steps. Okay, but now let's just start with the most lightest area of the color. Okay, and yeah, I think I'm gonna add some lines so that we don't get lost. So that's it. I think that's about it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna paint it over with some watercolor. And yeah, I'm gonna be using the watercolor here because usually when I am using my color pencils, I run out of color. So this is actually the first time that I will be using watercolor on a video. Okay, and I think that color matches to that. Okay, the John. Okay, I think I really like how that looks. Let's start coloring it. Okay, it's still very light. This, I think that's just about right when we are starting out. You don't want to get too dark. Okay, and it's okay if you like get puddles there. Just make sure that you are going in a single direction and don't scrub the colors. Once you are done with the spot, move on from it. Okay, so now that we've done our first layer, before we add more color, we will have to wait for this to dry out because we don't want to make like a very muddy or very dirty art piece. So yeah, we'll wait for this to dry out and then we'll come back later. Okay, so now that this first layer has dried up, I think it's time that we add the halftone of the light value halftone. Okay, so I will be using the color again. I think that is also a little bit pale. Okay, so a little bit of added color wouldn't hurt. I think I would like to add some yellow ochre to that. Okay, that looks good. We're gonna cover it up again, but we will save a little bit of space for the highlight areas, and I think I would like to keep this part, the highlight. Okay, so now that we're done with the first halftone, okay, with the base tone, actually that was just the base tone, and you can see here that I made a little bit of mistake with the blending that I did here on the side. Okay, we have some bloom effect here with the color, and that's just how it goes with watercolor. If your paper is not that good and if your method is not that good, so you won't get a really fine realistic effect. Okay, so that's just something that you will have to, yeah, something that I deal with and you will have to deal with if you are using watercolor. But because we actually save this part for the highlight, it still works. Okay, it still looks believable as a t-shirt, as a sweater, because we saved that space for the highlights. Okay, so if you get your values right, even if the colors sometimes don't the paint doesn't follow what you want, okay, you will still have a good looking image because you have the values in order. Now when it comes to values, we are now gonna go with the next step, which is the first halftone, okay, the first shadow, halftone shadow, okay, that is the halftone that we see here, that is in shadow, okay. It doesn't actually follow the same color. It is a little bit darker than your base color, okay. Usually the environment will influence what color is on that first halftone or on that shadow halftone, okay. So yeah, that is turning away from the light, so we will have to find a way to shade that color so that we will have some depth, okay. What I did is I added some magenta to our colors here because the color that we used is jaune and a little bit of yellow ochre, so I added some magenta and that desaturated the color. I might like to use this smaller brush because we are painting details, okay. So let me just add some color here, okay, there you go. I think that's two, and then we're gonna blend it up. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the other sections, okay. Okay, so we might have changed angles, but yeah, I did some work on the face. Okay, I added some base colors for the face, and yeah, I think we're done with the halftones of the shirt. Now, because the paper is a little bit too absorbent, okay, so it actually has a lot of blooms right now. But because we are still working with our values, you can see that it still is a very believable shirt, okay. So even with those bleeds, if you look at it from afar, it still looks like a shirt. But we are still lacking the ambient occlusion or the darkest shadows, okay. So what we're gonna do now for our darkest colors, we're gonna use the same yellow ochre, and I'm gonna mix it in a different area. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with the magenta, okay. So yeah, there's that. Let's add a little bit of water. We can use the indigo, okay. This is the indigo, and that is kind of like a purpley blue, so that we can get that. Yeah, that's too dark already. Okay, just a little bit really turn that really dark, so let's just add back the yellow ochre. Okay, yeah, that's the color that we want. Now that we've added those darker areas, okay, it's looking very believable right now. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna finish rendering the other parts of the face, okay, the hands probably. I think so. I will just show you what it looks like when we're done. Okay, so here it is. Here is the final clothing study that we did, okay. Now there are some runs around here, okay. Probably I will just cover it up with a little bit of gouache. Okay, but I think I got carried away with all the border of the white, okay. I think I would just re-add the ink of the like borders of the shirt there because the ink has been covered by the gouache, okay. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think that it looks good, okay. I hope that you really like this little tutorial that we did, and I'm sure to utilize the study that we did here with my future like art pieces so that yeah, I can make more art like this. Now if you want to support my work, then you can subscribe to the channel, and then you can like this video. You can also follow me on my Instagram, and I think that's about it. I will see you on the next one. Bye.